Welcome to today's explainer. Okay, let's dive right into this. We're unpacking an incredibly high stakes topic today: the architecture of your own mind and your personal agency within it. We walk around every single day just assuming that the thoughts bouncing around inside our heads are, well, entirely our own. But what if they aren't? What if the very blueprint of your mind is actually being drafted by external forces? In this explainer, we're going to look at the exact mechanics of how thoughts become reality, and way more importantly, we'll see how you can reclaim that drafting board. I want you to take a moment and truly absorb this quote from Carter Godwin Woodson. If you can control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his action. If you make a man feel that he's inferior, you do not have to compel him to accept an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. I mean, the stakes literally do not get any more profound than this. It outlines a pretty stark reality. If you aren't controlling your thinking, someone or something else absolutely is. Think of your thoughts as the ultimate control center. When they're dictated by external programming, you don't even need to be pushed toward a certain destiny. Your very nature is just going to seek it out automatically. So let's shift our perspective from that philosophical quote right into the actual tangible mechanics of our own minds. This brings us to section 1, the danger of controlled thinking.
The foundational rule we really have to accept here is that our mindset and our thoughts fundamentally define our life. It's not magic, right? It's a mechanical process. And to understand the danger of losing control over this process, we've got to look at how our mind is actually layered. There's a massive contrast between the two distinct levels of our mental architecture. On one side, we have surface-level thinking. These are those fleeting thoughts, the immediate, moment-to-moment reactions you get when, say, someone cuts you off in traffic, or you read a crazy news headline. But beneath all that, we have our core beliefs and values. These are deeply ingrained. They actually define your identity. And here's what you absolutely must take away from this. Your surface-level thinking is heavily impacted and effectively filtered by your deep belief patterns. You can't just course-correct your daily thoughts without doing some serious retrospection about those underlying core beliefs. Those core values are your anchor. If you don't examine them, your fleeting thoughts are always going to get pulled right back to that exact same starting point. Which brings us right into section 2, from thoughts to reality. Okay, so we've established that deep beliefs govern surface thoughts. But how exactly does a microscopic, totally invisible thought translate into the massive, macroscopic results of your actual life? It's like a giant puzzle. Let's trace this rapid-fire chain reaction. It all starts in a split second. A thought flashes in your mind and boom, immediately it impacts your internal feelings. Then, just minutes later, those internal feelings emote outward. They become visible emotions that drive your immediate behaviors. Now, speed that up to a daily scale. When you repeat those behaviors over and over, they solidify into your attitude. And your attitude? Well, that becomes the lens through which you view the entire world, driving the choices and decisions you make every single day. Finally, zoom out over an entire lifetime. When you aggregate and combine all those small and big decisions over years and decades, there it is. You get the exact results of your life. Every single decision is basically your life in miniature, and the whole shebang traces right back to that split-second thought at the very start of the domino chain. Okay, let's hit the brakes for just a second here and look at section 3, taking back the wheel. So, we've just seen how subconscious micro-decisions essentially rule everything we do. If left on autopilot, those mental dominoes are just going to keep falling in the exact same direction they always have. Our mindset doesn't just automatically change for the better by accident, sadly. So the vital question becomes, how can we improve our thinking for our own benefit? Let's take a breath here. We're shifting away from the frustration of those subconscious habits and looking straight at some concrete, totally empowering solutions. Because honestly, improving your thinking is absolutely achievable. You just have to consciously choose to engage in activities that engineer a better mind. Let's look at how we can build a really practical toolkit for conscious intervention. And hey, these aren't just nice ideas. These are daily, mechanical inputs that actively course-correct your thoughts. Read books that actually challenge you. Learn from experts. Watch them, listen to them. Practice deep breathing techniques. Get on the mat and do some meditation or yoga, even if, at first, you're literally just sitting there stressing about what to make for dinner. It happens. Fuel the machine properly by eating healthy foods and focusing on nutrients that specifically boost your brain function. Make the conscious choice to actively relax and absolutely prioritize getting proper sleep. When you inject these rapid-fire daily actions into your routine, you are physically and mentally rewiring that entire domino chain we talked about earlier. You are grabbing the wheel right back. But doing the right activities is really only half the battle. That brings us to section 4,
curating your information diet. Aside from all those great healthy habits we just went over, the absolute most crucial step of all is being fiercely, ruthlessly protective of the information you're taking in through your senses. Because your mind is constantly eating. Everything you see, hear, and experience is literally food for your thoughts. So try to adopt this foundational rule. Access only information that makes you hopeful of a better you and a better tomorrow. It's a real game changer of a filter for your life. Choose to consume content that is positive, stuff that motivates you, tests you, and actually helps you elevate your mindset to a higher level. Now, why does this matter so much? Well, when you consume positive, motivating content, it generates hope. And when you have hope, you naturally gain the faith required to actually think differently and take actions that enhance your life. Hope isn't just some warm, fuzzy feeling. It is a mechanical requirement for upward momentum.
And this leads us to the ultimate reality of our mental architecture, the rule of averages. You are quite literally a mathematical aggregate of your environment. You are who you talk to. You're the books you read. You're the content you watch and listen to. You are whoever you follow or subscribe to online. You're the average of your friend circle, and you are your core beliefs and values. I mean, even your exposure to basic environmental factors, like the food you eat, the water you drink, and the air you breathe, directly impacts your thinking and your perception. So working to improve all these various factors of your immediate environment is going to mathematically improve your state of mind and your entire thought process. As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to look really closely at the physical and mental environment you've built around yourself. Look at your phone, your friends, the media you consume, the habits you keep. If our thoughts define our lives and our environment defines our thoughts, you have to ask yourself this one vital question. Look at your environment. Whose thoughts are you thinking today? If you don't like the answer, well, it's time to take back the wheel and start curating. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I highly, highly encourage you to start auditing your information diet right now.